All right, good evening. So, tonight I want to cover starting a new job and how not to step on toes and still make a great impact. One of the most important things that you do walking into a new job is to prove yourself. We all want to get in there and make a difference, right? Whether that be a new position in an existing company that you work for or going into a brand new company altogether. Um, it it could be sometimes feel like walking on eggshells. You want to make an impact, but you don't want to ruffle any feathers. So, how do you balance proving yourself and respecting those established workflows and kind of play that? You have to play that kind of politics game a little bit, right? So let's talk about it. Um, and as we go through this, if anybody has any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, and we'll go through those. So first, I want to talk about a an experience from early in my career. I was put in charge of a finance team, um, a, a data team, but for finance, and I came in and I had all these ideas about how to improve efficiencies, how to improve these processes, and I jumped in and immediately was trying to make changes about how we did things and how we looked at things and how we pulled things, just all the things, right? I was so excited. I was young and didn't think about how other people might see that, right? I wasn't trying to come in and step on any toes or take anybody's jobs away or anything like that. But that was how it was perceived, right? It was people were um, took offense to the fact that I came in and they felt like I was telling them that everything they've been doing was wrong. So that's my lesson to you all that are looking to start your data engineering career, start your data analytics careers. you know you're excited about your new job, you're excited about your new career, you want to get in there, you want to prove to everybody else that you belong. um, but be aware that one, they don't necessarily expect you to jump in there on day one and make changes, right? In addition, uh, it's important to come in and listen and observe and understand the personalities of your team, understand um, how things are done currently. And as you have ideas about how you might change things, introduce them softly and slowly after you've built up some, some emotional credit with your peers and with your coworkers before you just jump in there and just want to make changes. Which leads into the next piece is you really need to understand the dynamics. So paying attention to your team culture. I touched on that a moment ago. Um, some of the unwritten rules that may be out there, and who the decision makers are. I'm gonna jump here into my YouTube here and just see if things are, yeah, they seem to be working. Um, put my thumbnail out here. Um, so yeah, understand the dynamics of the new company, new team that you're going into, so that you don't, you know, ruin a potentially great team, right? You don't want to jump in there and destroy relationships that um, you're just kind of developing and getting into, starting to work on. Um, sorry, I am Trying to get the YouTube piece of this set up because it did not set up correctly. Um, Desktop. There we go. Hopefully we'll get a few people on here. So just going in and setting up the YouTube side of this, since this is my first broadcast from this streaming platform. Somebody jumps on, I'll start talking. But in the meantime, see if we can't get some people. Hey, all right. So just talking through, what to do when you first start a new job, whether it be in a in a new company or in a new role. So, we talked a little bit about, when you first come in, you're all excited. You want to make some changes. You want to prove yourself. And that's not always the right direction to go in. You want to make sure that you are building that emotional capital with your new teammates, with your new culture, with the new culture that you're entering into before you go in and, try to make changes. Because the example that I gave is I had a position when I was younger, where I came in and I was so excited to, have this new position, to get promoted into this senior data engineer position. And I wanted to come in and prove myself and make a bunch of changes. And it was not received as well as you might imagine. As you might imagine, it was not received real well. Um, People felt like I was telling them that they've been doing things wrong for years and that they were dumb, and that wasn't what I meant, right? That's never what your intent is, but it could be, no matter the best of intentions, if you jump in and see things that you can improve and you immediately start making suggestions and start telling people, hey, you could do this and this and this. Perception may be that you're coming in and trying to take over, and you're telling them that what they've been doing has been wrong for years. And so, starting out by really listening and observing and understanding what the culture is, kind of what personalities are like, and how to approach different people and different situations, and who is kind of sensitive to what different areas or what different processes that they themselves may have come up with and created. And so, being sure that you really listen and observe when you first get into a new position. If you do have any questions as I'm going through this, be sure to pop them in the chat, and we'll get to them. So the next piece is, understanding the dynamics, paying attention to, again, the team culture, unwritten rules, kind of reading in between the lines of who does what, and kind of the hierarchy of decision making, because it's not always maybe the team lead or the director. Maybe there is kind of a hierarchy within the team as well of kind of who leads things. And so kind of feeling that out when you first walk into a new role, and understanding who those decision makers really are. Next piece is ask smart questions. Showing that you're eager to learn rather than assuming that you know everything already, that you may know all the answers. Um, ego is There's no room for ego when you first start in a position, no matter how long you've been in the career in your career. Um, so never walk in assuming that you know how the answer all the answers, assuming that you know how to fix all the problems. Um, yeah, and really, like I said, listen, observe, understand what the history and evolution has been to get to the point that they're in now before you come in and try to make a bunch of changes. Um, and then, this next part that I'm going to dive into is kind of navigating team dynamics, right? And that's the politics piece. As a data engineer, I hate the politics piece. As a associate director, it was the thing that I hated the most. Um, Politics is difficult. It is not fun for me, but it's part of it, right? It's part of navigating your career. It's part of moving up the ladder. Um, so it's part of it, and it's something that you have to learn as you start to move into some more and more senior roles. So the first thing to avoid is, we did it this way at my last job, right? Um, and it worked great, right? It was fantastic, and it was the best thing. Um, so you know, sometimes that can unintentionally kind of alienate your colleagues and your coworkers, and your boss. I mean, you don't, again, you want to make sure that you understand maybe who created what processes before you come in and tell them, hey, this is okay, but it's way better this way. Um, because I did it this way at my other job, right? So kind of be aware that that's not always the best approach. The next piece is give credit, highlight the importance, acknowledge others' work and expertise, especially as you're getting to know them, when you're going through and understanding the current workflows and processes and ETL pipelines that, you know, have been developed. Don't come in and say, oh, that's crap. We did it. This is how we did it at my last job. And in addition, when you see something that maybe catches your eye, maybe you think, oh, hey, I never thought of it that way, be sure that you're sharing that. Letting people know, hey, that was a great way to do that, will really start to build that emotional capital with other people. You're filling their bucket. For another analogy that has a very popular book, um, you know, fill their bucket is a great book. Go out and check it out, especially for managing teams, but also for working with other people just in general. But filling their bucket just means that you're building that emotional capital. That you're building that relationship, so that when you do come to be like, hey, have you ever thought of it this way? Then it's received much better than it would have been otherwise. Um, and so, again, one of those ways of building up that emotional credit is to give credit and to let people know, hey, that's awesome. I learned something from you today. Or, hey, that's a great way of doing that. I never thought of it that way. And you build that emotional credit, you build up that trust and that relationship. And then when you do, in a month or 3 months down the road, come in and you're like, hey, I was thinking about doing it this way. What do you think? Then they're not as they know that you're coming from a good place, instead of from, uh, hey, I want to just come in and change a bunch of things. Um, so the next piece of this is that really goes hand in hand in that is respect the existing processes, right? Um, so when you're suggesting improvements, make sure that you're not dismissing current workflows that they've probably worked on for years to get to the point that they're at. And you're gonna, potentially, make people upset or mad if you come in and you kind of crap on what they've been doing. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you approach things again, building up that emotional capital. Everything kind of that we've been talking about, kind of builds up, just like math, just like everything else. Everything kind of piles on top of each other to get to this point, right? Where you are listening and observing, you're understanding the dynamics and the politics of where you're at, you're letting your ego sit to the side, and you're giving credit and building that emotional credit with your new coworkers and your new team. You're respecting the existing processes so that when you are ready and get to the point where you could start promoting your new ideas, then you could do that without hurting everybody, without as much friction, and it'll be much better received. Um, and so to do that, and wording is everything. Is saying something along the lines of, "Hey, this is awesome. I've really learned a lot from these processes that you've been doing. What do you think about doing it this way?" Especially early on, the best way to get buy-in for a new change that you want to implement is to involve the other people in that decision. So involve your team in that decision. Get them to hear your ideas. Let the share your ideas and encourage that. Hey, what do you think? This is what I thought. What do you think? How do you think that we can make this better? Involve them in that process. Um, and that'll help. Again, if you have any questions or comments, be sure to put them in the chat, and I'll answer them. So now we're starting to get into the part where you've done all these things. You're probably ready. You're probably month 2, month 3. You're ready to start making changes. So start with some of the low hanging fruit, right? The smaller things, the easier things, maybe the things that are not as ingrained as others, or maybe things that other people that are no longer with the team or no longer with the company implemented, that you have identified some better ways to do it. And um, other people maybe have been complaining about anyways. So those are the kind of low hanging fruit that you're not going to have as much friction on, maybe. Um, they're a little bit easier tasks to implement. It's probably be easier to get some buy-in. Um, so those are the things that you want to kind of tackle first when you get to the point after you've built up that emotional capital and everything. Um, and then you want to, again, what I just talked about, collaborate for success. So include others in those early projects so that you're building those relationships, continuing to build that trust. You're you're sharing your ideas, and you're integrating them in that decision making. Um, and so that's an important thing, and kind of a theme throughout these last several steps that we've talked about. This next piece, show enthusiasm and not ego, right? I said ego has no place here. It really needs to be a backseat for your whole career. Um, Ego is a big thing to kind of get over. It's not. It really has no place in data engineering, or any of the data professions. I mean, the reality is that we all make mistakes. None of us know all the things, and so ego has no place. But there is definitely place for excitement and enthusiasm about new ideas and new processes that will make things better, more efficient, easier. So frame your contributions as benefits rather than this personal achievement or this award that you want, right? You don't want the recognition. Don't frame it as this recognition that you want. Frame it as how you're helping others, how you're helping the team, how you're going to make things easier and more efficient and for everybody. So how do you do that? One of the ways to do that is, like we've talked about, engage them, understand. At this point, you're 3 months in. You understand personalities, you understand the politics, you understand those pieces. You've built up that emotional capital. You've probably gotten close to somebody within the team or within the organization that you can really easily get onto your side, gain their buy-in, so that you could go in a unified effort to encourage other people for that buy-in, because that person that you've gotten close to has gotten close to other people as well, and it'll be easier to gain that buy-in and reduce that friction. So that's one of the ways to be able to start making changes. um, I'd love to hear other people's thoughts. So if you do have any questions, and or have any comments about how you've overcome these things in the past, be sure to let me know in the comments, and I'd love to hear from you all. Um, I know it's super late, so for some, so not a whole lot of people on, but yeah, if anybody has any comments, let me know. Um, so we'll get into the key takeaways. One of the things that is been a theme throughout all of this, right, is be curious and not critical. That's really one of the big mantras for navigating new roles gracefully. Curiosity is amazing. Asking questions so that you do really understand who did what, why they did what the history and evolution of those things have been over time, how long they've been doing certain things. It will help you to understand how to approach things in the future, and what things may be less sensitive than others when you are approaching them. Um, the next piece is, and again, I've kind of alluded to this, but you want to build bridges and not walls, right? So what I mean by that is you want to make sure that you're building relationships, you are building trust, you're building camaraderie with your teammate, with your peers, with other stakeholders across the organization, and not barriers and walls. Right? Don't try not to step on feet. Try not to you know crap on somebody's process that maybe they created. Um, you want to be sure to collaborate, and you're not competing against, make sure that you don't feel like you're competing against other people, and make sure that other people don't feel like you're competing with them. Again, the example that I shared early on about walking into a new role, and trying to make all these changes because I thought, oh, I can make these things better. It just wasn't received as well as it would have been if I had waited a month or two and got to know people a little bit better before trying to push what was perceived as pushing my agenda on others. Um, and this final piece is, start small to go big. Um, and again, this is something that I alluded to throughout as well, but focus on foundational relationships, focus on the small wins, getting to know people, understanding the processes, understanding where things are coming from, making some small changes that people are like, oh wow, this person really knows what they're doing. They took the time to understand how we do things, and now they're being productive and making things better for us. And so taking that time, starting small, building up, will help to really make a big difference as you move through your career, um, and as you continue to do bigger and better things. So those are kind of the key takeaways from, again, yeah, those are the kind of the the themes throughout, right? Um, yeah, be sure that if you're watching this on a recording, let me know down in the comments what your strategies and challenges have been over the years. Um, if you're, for those of you that are on now, feel free to put them in the comments, and I'd love to have those conversations. Um, but those are soft skills. These are all soft skill things that are needed as a data engineer, as any data professional. Um, you know, Python, SQL, understanding all of these different ETL tools, ELT tools, cloud infrastructure, cloud resources, um, and how to use all these things together effectively and efficiently is important, right? And amazing. And you need to have that piece too, but it's all worthless without some of these soft skills. You're not going to get a position, you're not going to move up, you're not going to progress through your career if you don't also develop these soft skills and learn to navigate politics, learn to navigate different personalities, and learn to adapt and fit in wherever it is that you do land. Um, so, if you ever have any questions about adapting, you know, be sure to let me know. Reach out to me, um, and I can definitely talk through that as well. I've adapted a lot over the years to fit into different groups and different companies, but uh, but yeah, important to learn to adapt and grow and and learn. So that's what it's all about. For those of you that might be new here, this might be your first time. Uh, we do normally do live streams on Friday evenings at 10 p.m. Eastern time, U.S. Eastern time. Uh, Learned that I needed to probably define that a little bit better because I do have some people from Australia from watching, and they have Australian Eastern time. So U.S. Eastern time, 10 p.m. U.S. Eastern time, Friday nights, which is 1 p.m. well, the following day for people in Australia. But learned that recently. So for those of you that are new, we normally do these, like I said, on Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern time, U.S. Um, and I usually have some type of topic that we discuss, but people often bring general data engineering questions. We often kind of start with one topic and we'll kind of generally venture into career type questions, sometimes some interviewing type questions. Um, and sometimes, people ask about my own development over the years and things like that. So the topics we on for an hour and a half on Friday evenings, and the topics sometimes will stick to the general topic, and sometimes we'll venture off. But I always accept any questions, even if you want to bring a Python script or a SQL script that you got stuck with. That you got stuck on and you want help troubleshooting or figuring out how to make it run more efficiently, bring those on. I'm happy to answer those questions um, and walk through those things. So happy to do those. In addition, like I said, we often talk about career type situations and how to get career, how to get a job in data engineering or data analytics. But yeah, so it's about midnight my time, and we're about 30 minutes, so probably wrap it up here. But I wanted to jump on, uh, kind of talk about these topics. So probably will be the topic of discussion Friday evening as well. Um, so for those of you that joined, I'll probably will do a repeat of this Friday night. I wanted to test out this new software, this new platform that I'm using for my streams, because I could stream to Facebook and to YouTube at the same time. So I hope you all have a fantastic week. Uh, it is now Tuesday, but Monday, so it's the beginning of the week. And I hope that, yeah, if anybody has any questions, pop them in the chat. Like I said, happy to answer anything. I see a couple people have popped on, but but yeah, just got finished talking through, you know, starting a new job, starting a new career, and how to navigate kind of the politics and personalities and how to still make a difference and prove yourself uh, as you are ramping up and starting a new job. So, any questions? Pop them in the chat. Happy to talk through those things and just let me know. But if there are no other questions, then I will jump off here and let you all get back to your week. And I hope that you have a fantastic week. And I hope that you rejoin me on Friday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern. All right. Have a great week and thank you.